And I always think it's important that you reflect at the beginning of the month. This is not a normal job, right? A lot of people, you always think in context of your frame of reference, right? So if you grew up in China, you'd speak Chinese. Most of us don't come from backgrounds where, some of us do, but most of us don't come from backgrounds where people run businesses. They understand residual income, passive income. Most of us don't come from high achieving environments, right? My dad worked for the government, and so business was a very foreign concept. Sales, targets, goals, vision, competition. This was not the language we spoke with, right? And a lot of times you have to be indoctrinated with that thinking. And why do we have meetings like this? Why do we, work on our thinking? Why do we train on mindset? Why do we have goals? Why do we have a vision? Why do we make adjustments? And sometimes it's just good to air stuff out. And I always think that you do that at the beginning of the month while the month is fresh, while your goals are right in front of your face, while the picture is clear in your mind and you're ready to work. And I always start with just kind of giving some history. And, this is obviously very, very near history, but it is still in the past. 2020, people talk about it. I always have conversations about what's going to happen, what businesses are going to thrive, what investments to make, how's your business doing? I have conversations with people on the phone, people ask, and it's almost hard to believe when I say these things out loud. And I want to start because most of the time after we finish a month, people are not feeling great. And definitely when the year turns, people feel regret. And I don't know how you are with regrets, but I'm terrible with them. I always think about, sports, academics, things I should have done, things I should have worked harder. Why did I goof around? Why did I waste my time? And those feelings really come to the forefront at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year. And let me start with this. So March 21st, 2020 was the last time I went to the office. So we were running full-fledged in-person meetings with 50 to 100 people showing up every single Saturday, full-timer meetings on Fridays, really not doing anything online or Zoom. I was doing a little bit experimental Zoom, driving around, doing all these appointments, and then overnight, shutdown happened. I remember my kids went to bed thinking they were going to school the next morning, and school, we're not having school today, and then we're not going to have it. And I remember sending text messages to people in March. Hey, Thomas, I think we got at least 2 more weeks of this. Yeah, well, I hope the swim season will start in May. And here we are in December. And, for my kids, they're still at home learning. And, obviously some counties and states are doing more restrictions. And I looked at the numbers today, and in April and May, our business is built on, it's a brokerage model. We hire people, we get them licensed, right? The reason why I have some success is I have approximately 400 licensed agents. Now, most of them are part-time. And the states say, you can't get anybody licensed. We are not open. Nobody can take their test. No classrooms for licensing class. So I have to recruit people, and I'm telling them about the field training bonus. We don't know when you're going to get it. We have no idea. Can I take a test? We don't know. And I thought to myself, that was an eye opener for me. I was like, all right, man, I got these 400 licenses. I can't grow anymore right now. That's point number one. What if that happens again? What if you got your 10 licenses? Is that enough to get financially independent? That's why you always got to recruit. And we pivoted, and I'm proud of everybody, especially that's on this call. And remember, the Friday is a locker room. It's not, if you're on, and I know there's some new people, unlicensed people, awesome. I hope you get something from it. But a lot of times it goes over people's heads because this is a little bit more advanced training, all right? And I'm not going to kind of sugarcoat it, especially at the beginning of the month. For the new people, I hope you just get something from it. Don't feel offended. Don't feel overwhelmed or anything like that. And I look at this year to date, and that's with a 3 and 4 month period where we could, in some states, still can't get people licensed. We licensed 100 people this year with losing 3 months of the year minimum. We did 1,200 life applications. We're at, and this is approximate, okay? Some of the numbers are like within 30 or 40 less or 30 or 40 more. We did 1,200 recruits this year. And our payroll right now is at, and this is 11 months in the year, not 12. This is year-to-date numbers. We're at a $1.2 million payroll. That's not including my income. That means you guys have been paid over $100,000 a month. And so as crazy as this year has been, and it has been absolutely nuts. No meetings, 2 trips getting canceled. Not canceled, but they couldn't do it. They gave us $5,000, all that stuff. The incentives, licensing. We have had our best year ever. Think about that. That's the company that you're part of. That's the team that you're a part of. I always tell people, it's not ever the problem. It's how you react to the problem. It's not ever the problem. And many of the problems that come in your life, they're not you. You don't have anything to do with it. But you still got to react the right way. I remember, right? And I'm not saying this because I can only talk about my experience, in July, right? When my dad had a stroke. I remember my mom calling me, come to the house. I sped to the house and, we couldn't go because at that time, family members couldn't go to the hospital. My dad is on the stretcher, the ambulance taking him away. He's got his mask on. Everybody's got their mask on. I can't go that close to him. My dad's bawling, crying, getting into the ambulance. That was not my fault. There's nothing I could do there. There's nothing my mom could do there. But how do you handle it? How are you going to handle it? Are you going to be positive? Are you going to be optimistic? Are you going to, what are you going to do? And that's just everybody's going through stuff. I'm not saying that my stuff is worse than anybody else's. I'm not that arrogant to think that. Everybody has stuff. And there are millions of people, maybe 1 billion people got it worse than you. So I'm not saying that. But the concept is still the same. How are you going to handle it? Everybody has money problems. A lot of people have health issues. Everybody's uncertain right now. But you still got to protect your mind and have a great attitude. As hard as it may be. Because once this goes, everything's going to go downhill. You start getting negative and sour and complaining and moaning and bitching and everything's going to follow you. Everybody's going to follow you. Everything's going to go downhill. And you just have no choice, even if it's not your fault. Now, sometimes, unfortunately, you create the problems. And I say this to people all the time. Successful people overcome their problems. Unsuccessful people create their own. Don't create your own. And I say that because for years, I created my own problems. I'm not saying that, judging you, casting anything on you. So it's been an awesome year. And I say that with a smile, but inside I'm like, no, it hasn't. But it has. It's been a great year. It's been a crazy year. It's been an insane year. It's been an unpredictable year. But man, to be where we are as a group, as a unit, I had a few conversations with people. They're going to have their best month in December. With shutdowns and restrictions and lockdowns and pandemics and kids at home on the brink of insanity. And what a great company, what a great business, what a great team. So as I say that, I want to start off positive before it gets 0 to 100 real quick, because I'm about to turn on you guys in just a second. I said this at our meeting yesterday, and I want to talk about this real quick. 2 days ago, I had a virtual office kickoff. I said, there's nothing, and like I said, today is all mindset. Okay, it's all mindset. It's not going to be. I mean, there might be a little bit, but it's not going to be policies and commitment questions or anything like that. Okay, so I just want to throw that out there. There's nothing in our life that's neutral. Either it's positive or it's negative. Either it's taking you closer to where you want to go or it's taking you away from it. And the thing about positive habits, okay, and you are your habits. Okay, motivation fades, habits endure. You are what you repeatedly do. Okay, now the great news is, no matter how old you are, how stubborn you are, how hard-headed you are, you can change. You can change. Now, it's hard. Change is not easy, but you can. But always remember this. Either you're consciously forming positive habits, which takes a lot of effort. It takes thinking, deliberate action, or you're subconsciously forming negative habits. That you don't even need to form negative habits. They will automatically show up. That is the way we are designed. That's the law of degradation, right? I mean, you have a garden, weeds come up. You have a driveway paved, it cracks. You have a foundation on your house, it decays. That is the way it works. If you don't eat healthy, you will become sick. If you don't put positive stuff in your mind, negative stuff comes out. And just like you always have to ask yourself, if I make a few good decisions today, will it positively affect me in 2 or 3 weeks? If I make a bad decision today, will it negatively affect me in a few weeks? And if you know 100% that if I make a bad decision, it's going to negatively affect me, maybe now, maybe immediately, maybe 2 or 3. If you spend more money, that you buy something you shouldn't buy, you're going to have to pay off that debt. It's going to cost you in the future. They may repossess it. It might mess up your credit. Hold on for a second. My dad is calling me. Sorry about that. So if you know that if you'll make everybody understands that if I make a bad decision, it will affect me in 2 or 3 weeks. But a lot of people conversely don't agree with that. If I make a good decision, it will affect me positively. If I work out, I don't have a six-pack right away, so it actually didn't work. If I read a book, I'm not rich right now, so it didn't work. If I'm positive, something bad still happened. I still got cut off in traffic. Positive, being optimistic doesn't work. Well, it does work. Just like negative stuff works. You just don't see it right away. And that's why you got to make that decision to just have a better attitude. That's where it starts. Just have a better attitude. That's where it starts. Now, I talked about a couple things at my virtual office meeting. I'll go through them today. The same ones. So before, we used to have meetings in person, and we'd always, once in a while we'd ask our new people to stand up and say, hey, introduce yourself. And, Rod Harris would say, you know what, why did you, join our team? And what was one thing, who invited you? And Rod would say, oh, I got recruited by my friend Dante, and, I'm an accountant, but I wanted to come here because I wanted to make extra money. And you can send this to the chat, okay, if you know the answer. But the most common answer of why people got involved, anybody know what it is? The most common response that people would say. Let's see. Learn about finances, money, extra money, environment. Make a difference, money, debt. The most common answer was always the environment. Always. It was always like, hey, I just like being around everybody. People are so nice. And they always make a comment about the environment, about the people. And we don't have that anymore. Now we have a screen. Now we have some music. Now we might, sometimes some mornings we'll get lucky and we'll see, Therese dancing. And Therese, that was awesome. I appreciate that. And we'll but that's as much as we have for the environment. And so now we have to create a virtual environment. And the best leaders are creating a virtual environment. And I'll specifically talk about Zoom and Telegram and having good habits on Zoom, right? I talked about this today, and this is our Friday meeting. Our Saturday meeting is a lot different than Friday. Friday is a lot more intense. It's a lot more, stuff. You know what a really bad habit is? And I said this on our Wednesday, or whenever we kicked off. Not having your video on, that's a terrible habit. Honestly, it's. I mean, what do you say? I used to yell, I used to blast people in training if they didn't have a notebook, if they were goofing off, if people would open up their cough drops and it would make too much noise, they would get scared. Now people, they don't even have their video on. And listen, I know I do my virtual office. Sometimes I take my video off, and I told my team, and you can, I hope you don't get a bad visual with this, but if I don't have my video on, the team knows what I'm doing. I'm picking my nose, okay? I'm goofing off if I don't have my video on. We know what you're doing. You're not paying attention. Why would you come here? Why would you log in? I don't understand. Now look, if it's not appropriate, keep your video off. I want to be very clear about that. If you're not properly dressed, if you're in the bathroom, but it's an hour. It's an hour. It's an hour and a half. You just got to have a shirt on. I did a full-timer meeting. I did an incentive training, and a lot of you guys were on there. There was like 10 or 15 people on there, and it was with Bruce, and it was late at night at 10 o'clock. I'm a national sales director with the company. I'm one of Bruce's top people. He blasted me because I was eating food during the meeting. And he publicly called me out. He made fun of me. He was like, what are you doing? And I was so embarrassed. I was like, and it's true. It's like, I'm a leader. He expects me to pay attention. Am I paying attention if I'm eating? Like, would you do that at a meeting? Telegram. Some of you guys don't check it 2 or 3 days. And a lot of you guys, and this is for new people, I'm not a Yankees fan, right? But, to me, the Yankees are the evil empire, and, I never rooted for the Yankees. But the Yankees win. I mean, I remember when I was growing up in high school and, in college, I think they won 3 out of 4 years. And this is back in the late 90s, early 2000s. They had a parade. This is Jeter and all these guys. and 1 million people showed up to the Yankees parade. 1 million people. Because they're all about winning. And, you know, when you're a Yankee, they do an orientation, and the things on the orientation are just teaching you how to be a Yankee. And a lot of people don't like the Yankees. I don't like them, but man, I remember when, what's his name? I think his name was Park. His last name was Park. He's the Asian guy. And he was the MVP, and he got traded to the Angels. And they had won the year before, and he was in New York, and the dugout, the whole fans, they gave him a standing ovation. They've won like 30 championships. Somebody can correct me. You know, I know we got some New Yorkers in here. I'm sure they're Yankee fans. But, you know, they've won like 30 World Series championships. I mean, nobody comes close to them in terms of winning in baseball. And for 2-3 weeks, a month of the year, they teach you how to be a Yankee. That's what I'm doing here. Right? Like, you don't check your Telegram, you don't post anything. And then some of you guys, you post negative stuff as if we care. We don't. We don't care where your heart is. We don't care that, you know, hey, I just want you to know I love the company, but right now, we don't care. After but, we're not reading, and we definitely don't care. Don't post negative stuff on Telegram. I don't allow it in mine. You guys know that. I delete the messages when I see them. Hey, listen, something happened and I can't study. Okay, tell that to your direct, call them and tell them. Don't post it for 50, 60 people to see. It's not fair and it's not right. And it's selfish. That's negative. It's like, no, you don't understand my situation. No, we don't want to understand your situation. And when we understand, it's gonna keep you broke. You know, and I appreciate it because a lot of people, they invite me to their threads. So I get to see brand new people. That's why my threads, most of them, I don't allow brand new people because they post stuff. Hey, you know, I'm sure you're going to have a great meeting, but I can't show up. Why would you text that? Why would you ever text that? You know, these are terrible habits. Terrible. I'm not saying, hey, look, we care about you. And we're always praying for you. I promise you that. I'm not an insensitive, not empathetic person. But I don't put it out in the universe. You know, I said that in training a long time ago. You know, when you say something out loud, it's 10 times more likely to happen. We know you think it. I think it too. I have the most fears, the most millions of those thoughts every day. I just don't say it. That's a form of discipline. You know, I have children, right? I mean, I can't do that. I can't say what's on my mind right away. I can't curse. I can't lash out. I can't do that. My kids are always watching me, and I'm always around them. I forfeited that right a long time ago. And I don't care what happens. I cannot say, well, you know, daddy has a temper. They don't know. That's not right. You can't do that. That's called self-control. My kids will say that too. Well, dad, you know I have a temper. Really? That's why you hit a student? That's why you did that? That's why you felt you needed to do? No. If I don't exert, that's self-control. It's good habits. And that doesn't contribute to a great virtual environment. Right? It's always got to be positive. It's always got to be exciting. It's got to be moving forward to your goals. These are little things that people do. And I see the teams that are moving, and they're great at it. They're great at it. You know, Zoom etiquette, right? Like, look, if you're a leader, you know, get dressed up, have a notebook, put your headphones on, fix your screen. And I know some of you can't do that, okay? I mean, I do my virtual office. My kids come in here, they climb on me. My daughter comes, right? It's like she knows, you know, she's got a compass. When's dad going to start his meeting? That's when I'm going to interrupt him. You know, I mean, I get it. You know, they do it. And, you know, I'm like, oh gosh, what do I got to do? And, you know, if I'm doing a client meeting, but do your best, man. Do your best. You know, what does a new person think when they see us and there's 70 people on here and 50 people don't have their videos on? What do you think it says to them? That's why we need you guys to step up. All right. So it seems universally true that people who have direction in their lives go farther and faster and get more done in all areas of their lives. This is a very important month. I said I started off my kickoff at virtual office with this. December is the most important month of your career. It's going to set the tone for 2021. It's going to end the year on an even higher note, or a high note, or a positive note. No matter how much time you have wasted in the past, and everybody's guilty of that, you still have all of today and all of tomorrow. And success depends on using it wisely by planning and setting priorities. The fact is, time is worth more than money. And by killing time, we kill our chances of success. I waste a lot of time throughout the week. And I'm not proud to say this, but it's planned wasted time. I don't just waste time. It's not like, wait, where did the morning go? It doesn't work like that for me. Now, there are times where I goof off. There are times where I binge watch. But it's not an all-day thing. And it's not when I need to be doing something else. I want you to understand that, discipline doesn't have to be 24 hours a day, but you're going to have time to goof off and knock off, but you still got to plan and prioritize. Do the dirty work, right? And I say this in quotes. I don't want to offend anybody, but this is not a business for pretty boys. I think about that all the time, right? Like, I was talking to somebody else and they literally said this to me. They started quoting their college credentials. And I want everybody to know this. I'm not saying I'm proud or not. It's just a fact. I have 2 degrees. I went to Virginia Tech. So I'm not saying this because I didn't go to college. I did. I graduated. I completed all my courses. I didn't do great academically, but I have it. But, when someone is in a financial predicament and they start talking about what they've done in the past, I know they have no vision for getting out of it in the future. This is a business for people that want to do the work, man. And I know this, okay? And I'm talking to you, and I'm going to go over some recruiting tips in a minute, okay? You got to talk to a lot of people if you want to win in this business. A lot. Like, you got to have intense, and most people in life are takers, okay? Most people take. That's what they do. They take, they consume. And if you want to be a leader and a recruit, even a recruiter, you have to give. You give your time. You give your energy. You give your commitment. You give your knowledge. And you can't because we have to talk to so many people, and most people, they don't do the business because they don't want to do it, or they start and then they quit. You can't let the takers take from your ability to give. And you got to talk to a lot. I do a lot of Zooms, right? And Therese will say, hey, Shaq, can you jump on a Zoom with me and meet this person? These people look great. And they share their testimony and their story and then this and that. And then, you know what? I get an email, because I get an email if they're in my base shop, that person I talked to that made a commitment, they get a refund. I'm like, wow, geez, what happened? And that's a punch in the gut for most of us. And always remember this, you're not talking to enough people. Brian Tracy has a great book, Eat That Frog, and it's from a saying. It says, if you're going to swallow a frog, you don't want to look at that sucker too long. It ain't going to be no prettier. Matter of fact, the longer you look, the uglier it gets. Look, I know you don't want to talk to your friends and family. I know you don't want to build your market. I know you don't want to call people you don't know. And we're experts, man. We know every area of our comfort zone. We know all the places to hide, all the places where, I did that through high school, right? I never had to give a speech. I could be the most inconspicuous person in high school and college. Nobody ever noticed me. And that's okay. It ain't going to work here, though. You can't skate through. You just won't make any money. And so have the right mindset about large numbers and doing what you need to do, whatever it is, getting up early, making phone calls, sending messages out, Instagram, Facebook, networking meetings. I don't care what it is. Who it is. Robert Kane Jr. There has never been a successful, undisciplined person. And you see, I capitalize that. Never. It's never happened in any industry. If someone got a financial windfall, they lost it. And you hear stories about that all the time. There has never been a successful, undisciplined person, regardless of the field. Some people say, well, this isn't the field for me. Okay, you got to be disciplined to be successful somewhere else. Never met a good student. Wasn't disciplined. Now, they could skate through high school. When they got to college, they got rocked. The people who work